Real quick, hold on a second. If you say, is it the 4-0?
The 411.
Yeah, hold on a second. Wilder Show podcast. I'm Scott. That's Lauren.
Hello.
Hey there, Lauren.
Hello.
What's up over there today?
I'm just giggling at something, yeah.
What you giggling
it's
at?
coming up later. I can't tell you now.
Okay. I like a little giggle.
That's a tease.
Oh, I like that. Giggle. Instagram, Wilder Show Pod. And then you'll search it and you'll find us and you'll tell your friends and all that. If you want to send us an email, just email to podcast@wildershow.com. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays at 6 a.m. Central Time or before on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. So like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share. And we've been seen in the wild on the TikTok now and again.
Lots of people over there on the TikTok.
There are a lot of people on the TikTok.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something else. There was something I was trying to watch the other day. We talked about, like, do people just go in there and do stupid stuff? And yeah, mostly. But every now and then, it's just become a different medium to get the word out. There was something it was over the weekend. We'll talk a little bit about this. The whole marches everywhere.
Yeah.
The marching, downtown Dallas or in McKinney or in Mineola. All 50 states, we're told. A lot of those places, some of them were even news outlets. I think Channel 4 is pretty big on the TikTok. And so you can go in and look at some of the, they're not going to cover it on TV. It's the middle of a golf tournament or a NASCAR or a football game or something. And so you're not going to find it there. And so, I got my phone in my hand and there you go. So I'm able to kind of see if I can see myself in the No Kings March on the TikTok. So we'll have to say something about the No Kings March and the shutdown. I have shut down thoughts that we have not, I have yet to share. That's hard to believe, isn't it? You mean there's more?
You mean there are thoughts that you haven't yet shared?
So
usually it doesn't take very long for them to get from your brain to the tip of your tongue.
How China is stealing American DNA.
Stealing it?
Yeah. For what purpose do you think? To create communist super soldiers. This is a very weird story.
What?
I know. It does sound like something out of the future make-believe. What do you call that? Sci-fi.
Dystopian. It's a dystopian future.
Something like that. So we'll talk. It's a very, very interesting article. And the story about was it a deer blind?
Yeah, really near where the president landed.
Near
right?
Air Force One.
Yeah.
And so I have some thoughts about that. And will they be able to find the people that built it? And how would they find them? The DNA thing is tied into this.
Well, that's
but anyway,
what I was going to ask if it had to do with DNA.
Well, it does in a weird way. It's compared to the DNA. It's not that they found, to my knowledge, they did not find DNA in the deer blind. But, you'll see. The comparison will make that comparison. Let's start with the theft at the Louvre. Is that the weirdest thing?
It is weird. My and I don't know very much about stuff like this, but I wonder anytime there's theft of something that's famous or something that's tied to
like
a
Picasso
serial
or
number or something like that. Yeah. What is do the thieves have it just to have it? Is it just sort of to game the system and see we did it because we could? Yeah. It's not like you can't sell it, right?
Well, unless you separate them all and melt them down. I mean, there are people that,
I guess there's that.
The gold, gold is $1 trillion an ounce or something. And you can melt it down. That's the fear of the French people, is that this whole Napoleon family treasure, except for the tiara, they dropped the tiara.
Like on the way out, they dropped the tiara?
That was one of the things. They had a brooch, a necklace, some rings, a crown, but then they also had the tiara. I think the tiara is the one that they dropped.
Yeah.
And you know why?
Well,
So you have to have bobby pins to hold it in.
Because you'd have to wear it out, of course, right?
Yeah. What is it about jewel thieves? By the way, this whole thing took 7 minutes. You know that, right?
It
took 7 minutes. At 9:30 in the morning on Sunday morning, they get this ladder attached to a van, and it's one of those power ladders. They go up to the second floor. They're dressed as repairmen. Mm-hmm. They saw their way into the building, circular saw.
Okay.
And then they sawed into the display cases, took the stuff, got out, went back down, left the truck, and you saw how they got away?
No, I didn't.
Scooters.
Oh, man.
They got away on the high-powered scooters. What is it about jewel thieves? And probably we don't really feel this way, but we've had a lot of movies we've seen, right? Mm-hmm. Movies with somebody who's a thief, like from a museum.
Yeah.
And it seems sort of romantic almost. It's like, wow, that's sort of, I don't know. I know we're not supposed to root for him, but it is Pierce Brosnan.
It seems more highbrow than your typical thief.
Yeah, it's not a thug. He's wearing a suit.
It's a high-class thug.
But the Thomas Crown affair. So we say it couldn't be all bad. It's Pierce Brosnan. Mm-hmm. And Rene Rousseau likes him. So
he must be okay.
But there's something sort of weird, I think, about museum theft. And it shouldn't. I mean, it's stealing and mm-hmm, all that. Mm-hmm. But it just seems, it's so weird.
Well, you'd expect the security to be so tight.
This is the thing. Movies have made us think there are these laser beams and somebody has to like tiptoe over and then you got to go under the laser thing so you're not detected. And then it didn't like that, apparently.
You do watch a lot of movies.
So, but the manhunt is underway for the thieves. They broke into the Louvre. I've been to Paris once. I kind of came up.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. But I came up in Paris from the tube because we had like a 7-hour layover. Uh-huh. And you could go to the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Or the Louvre. Uh-huh. Or Notre Dame.
And what did you do?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to see Notre Dame.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. In retrospect, I would have done the same thing. I would have gone to Notre Dame of those three. But the Louvre, anyway. So these guys that broke into the Louvre, they stole priceless jewelry. You love to hear British people say that it is of inestimable value. Mm-hmm. It once belonged to Napoleon Bonaparte's family. They entered the Apollo Gallery in broad daylight at about 9:30. They were gone by 9:37. Remarkable.
Do we know? We don't know it's all guys.
No, I think it probably is. Yeah, maybe girls were. Maybe all girls did it. Maybe it's an all girl band. But I don't think so. I think it's just a bunch of terrible guys. Mm-hmm. And so, what's going to happen? Are they going to? And this is what the French people are worried about. Is one thought on stealing this was keeping the collection together. Mm-hmm. That's why it's such a big deal that they dropped the tiara.
Yeah.
Because that would have kept the whole collection together. The value of the whole collection would have been higher than any one of them or the sum of its parts. Right?
I understand.
Like this is the whole collection.
Mm-hmm. And who's worried that they're worried that the tiara didn't go along with them?
No, I'm sorry. The French people are worried that because they don't have the whole collection, they now will be inclined to just break it all apart.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, one of the crowns has something. I don't know. Seriously, it's something like 137 diamonds in it. So you're pulling out all these diamonds. It really has.
While we're talking about it, we can see that we're
isn't
seeing
it crazy?
a report.
Look at that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of jewels,
right?
But it's pretty.
Look at that necklace, man. What's going on there? Anyway,
the tiara is kind of pretty.
It is pretty, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So there you go. So they'll find them or they won't. I think they probably will. I think the fact that they dropped the tiara, in all seriousness, they look to be professional when they got it done in 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they have they lost one of the 7 items upon escape.
Yeah.
On their Vespas or whatever. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Be careful holding your camera or your phone out the window of a bus to take pictures of all the street people, because people in motorcycles and scooters will drive right up beside you, steal your phone, and they are gone.
I know somebody that happened to in San Francisco.
Yeah. You
have to go overseas for that to happen.
You don't. Well, in that case, the overseas people came here perhaps.
Maybe.
You don't do it. You don't hold your phone out the window. It's like, chumming the waters. No kings. And I'm sure there are some people in that group who are, knowledgeable and they're sincere, but they're protests. They have all kinds of really good reasons. But some of them really have no idea why they're there.
Yeah.
They don't know. You ask them and they really have no answer except the obvious one. It's all about who? It's all
Donald
about
Trump.
Yeah. They throw out words like fascism and billionaires and things like that. But ask them a second question. And it's clear that for many of them, it is not that they hate the positions Trump takes. They hate the positions he takes because they hate him. That is really the deal.
Yeah.
Now, no kings, of course, inspired by the shutdown, right? Of which even Jonathan Karl on ABC over the weekend actually acknowledged that it's the Democrats that have shut down the government by not voting for the continuing resolution. And now the Republicans refuse to negotiate, both of which are true. And we talked about this before. Ending the shutdown really comes down to one side giving in, and public opinion is what's going to determine that. And right now, Trump is winning. During the first shutdown in his first administration, 61% of Americans blamed Republicans. 61. This time, that number is 48%. And it is trending toward Trump, meaning those numbers are coming down in terms of blaming him. Democrats are losing the battle in spite of having all the media pushing in their favor. One of the things Democrats want back, and they don't want to reopen the government so they can debate. They want to negotiate and then reopen the government. Totally different. But one of the things they want is to return the funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Right.
They want a more just and verdant world. The PBS funding that was previously pulled. They want to add things as part of their negotiations. And Republicans are saying, look, let's open the government. We can debate these things separately. Democrats don't want to do that because they will lose on those things. But here's where it ties to No Kings protests over the weekend and where I think it's very interesting. The heart of No Kings protest is supposed to be that this is America. And in America, one person is not how we get things done, right?
Right.
That's the whole point. In America, we have a process to determine these things, how money is spent, priorities, which programs to advance, which ones to shut down. And yet, by shutting down the government, which Democrats have done, they are ceding that power. They're giving up that power. They're specifically not engaged in the process that they say is so important, and they are turning that over to the president. Isn't that interesting? And what is he doing? Advancing the things that he wants to advance, something that could be challenged if they had not abdicated their responsibility and given up the power to the president. So their very protest by shutting down the government, because democracy demands these decisions be made with a democratic process, is what allows those decisions to be made by just one person, Trump, not a king, but they are giving him power he wouldn't have otherwise, and an opportunity. It's another example of how liberals don't get it. Their very thing that they're doing to fight one thing is making that thing come true. The Secret Service has discovered a hunting stand, deer blind or duck blind. They can be on the ground or in the air. Not the air. They're in a tree. It had a direct line of sight to President Trump's Air Force One exit in Florida.
That's really weird.
FBI is leading the investigation after the discovery near Palm Beach International Airport. There is a new way they can deal with telephone technology. Let's say you're a suspect in building this deer blind. And so they say, you know what, we're going to trace that guy's phone, figure out where that guy went. Oh yeah, he went up by the lake and then he came back by this little deer stand. And then he was over here to the Home Depot and he came back to the deer stand. And he came to the deer stand, 5 times the last 2 weeks. And how did we get there? We started there with his cell phone. We tracked where his cell phone has been.
Right.
There's a new way they're doing this. They can look at a location now and say, tell me all the people who have been near this location.
That were at that location?
So they give me all the people and the frequencies. When were they there? Who was there the most recent? Isn't that amazing?
Man.
So
how does anybody get away with anything?
Well, see, that's
anymore?
the thing. That's there's an old saying in crime or solving of crimes: there is no perfect crime, just imperfect investigators or imperfect investigations. But with cameras and DNA and telephone technology, and our cars are all tracked and their camera, and there's license plate readers everywhere. I mean, honestly, it seems like we should be able to solve now
everything,
almost all crimes.
Yeah.
So my belief, we may not never know, because I don't know whether the FBI is going to release all this stuff when it comes to a threat against the president. But that is a new way of doing it. You don't have to find who you think did it.
How do you winnow down from that, though?
Well, patterns, maybe.
Yeah.
Patterns. Who was there last? Who was there? And then you find out exactly where. Maybe that exact spot. I mean, they can triangulate down to a pretty small footprint. How many people are going to be there at that deer blind? Not many.
Not very many.
Not many. So they will geolocate or geofence or whatever the word is, that area. They'll give the address. Like, show me all the people that were there at 5510. How many people were there at 5510? Over the last, 4 months. And I'll look at all the people that came by that address. And then I find the ones that came most recently. And was there a collection of time? Are there other cameras that tell us that wasn't always built? So when was it built? And who was there between the time it wasn't built and the time we discovered it? So all those things, just crime solving has become very sort of sterile. I mean, in a good way, that it's more like math.
It is.
Which I think is tremendously cool. All right. Speaking of DNA, I've got to talk about this thing just briefly. If anybody wants this story, I'll be glad to send it to you. But it's weird. How China is stealing American DNA to create communist superior soldiers. Now I think, well, where'd you get that? This is written by a guy named Anthony Vinci. He's a former senior intelligence officer. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll just open it up. The young expectant mother gets a genetic test for her child as recommended by her doctor. How could it hurt, she thinks? It's non-invasive. It's approved widely. Millions of women have used it. But this technology doesn't come from just another biotech company, and her genetic material is not just being used for innocuous patient studies. The Nifty test, it's a brand name product of BGI Genomics, was developed in China with the support of the People's Liberation Army, and the genetic information obtained ostensibly to detect Down syndrome and other chromosome abnormalities in the unborn baby is also used by the Chinese military in areas including what it chillingly calls improving population quality. It has not been approved in the U.S. It is available elsewhere globally, including Europe and Canada, Australia. The case of BGI Genomics is terrifying enough, but it doesn't just affect mothers. Reuters reports that the same company has sold millions of COVID tests globally, including into the American market. Now, if you buy one at Target or wherever, you don't send that in.
So not
right?
an at-home test,
Not
something
home
that
test.
might be administered in your doctor's
Right,
office.
might be, sure. The Chinese Communist Party can legally take any information, any data it wants from any Chinese company. See, this is what I've told you before. There's no private property in China.
Right.
A company that is owned by somebody in China is a company that is only allowed to appear to be owned by somebody in China. It's owned if they want it by the government. So your genetic information could be used to create a class of super soldiers or even super geniuses in China. China could create diseases that affect only specific ethnic populations.
Yikes.
You have things that are true of ethnicities.
Sure.
And you have DNA, you have genetic code. You don't have a lot of those same ethnicities in China. Anyway, it's a whole new world of espionage Anyway, if you want the whole article, I'll be glad to send it to you. Send us an email to podcast@wildershow.com. They have like 5 things you can do, 5 ways to protect yourself. Be paranoid, be paranoid, be paranoid, be paranoid, be paranoid. He ends the piece. We are in the midst of a revolution in intelligence where we are now all the targets of espionage, whether we like it or not. A few simple rules of thumb can help protect you, your friends, family, community, and nation in a new world where espionage threatens us through our phones, our computers, and even our DNA.
Something weird.
Very. Mm-hmm. Oh, it is time for Scattershoot.
Let's go.
Wilder Show Scattershoot. All right. I do want, before we go, to reflect on something that I saw, a TV commercial that got me giggling, and we'll talk about it, but it made me think of a thing we used to talk about on the radio. I'll have to tell you, but remind me. We'll do it before we part ways.
Okay. Do you know how much the average wedding costs?
I'm going to guess.
This figure really didn't surprise me very much.
Okay.
I've been a part of a couple of weddings recently, and this. I mean, listen. They can get way more expensive than this. I was kind of surprised that this was the average cost.
Average cost. I'm going to say this may be low. I'm going to say $30,000.
That's exactly right.
Is it really?
Did you see this already?
No, but I was actually going to say $40,000, and then that's why I said I'm going to go low. I just went down a bit.
Yeah, depending on how you do it. I mean, I think a band can cost $30,000 for one night. But yeah,
crazy.
This is the average American wedding. Actually, a little bit more than $30,000. But couples. So because of that expense, couples are starting to try to get creative about ways to pay for the wedding. Would you ever consider having a part of your wedding sponsored?
Oh, this is going to fit right into what I was going to talk about, but go ahead.
There are all kinds of ways this could happen.
Interesting.
Some brides are willing to have have a brand name sewn into their wedding gown.
And everybody's an influencer.
I mean, I think if you're an influencer, you can have a lot of that done. If you're somebody who has, a couple of 100,000 followers or more than that on Instagram or TikTok, on whatever, you could get people to do the flowers for free, probably just to be credited in your post. But this would be actually at the wedding.
Okay.
So the picture that I was giggling about when we first started the podcast, it had this beautiful couple up at what you would think that it's the altar, but there's no officiant behind them, and it looks like they're kissing each other, like the wedding has just been completed. Yeah. And there's a big screen behind them, and on the screen is being projected like some travel agent's thing for some beautiful vacation spot. That was it's like having a giant billboard behind you at the wedding. Yeah. Now there are people who said that they would be willing to have a mascot, like a company mascot, a brand mascot, not just show up at the wedding, which I think is kind of silly enough, but be the officiant.
So like Ronald McDonald
could be your wedding officiant.
Yeah, that's that Burger King.
Or the Hamburglar could be the wedding. I mean, I don't know.
That's kind of crazy.
Doesn't that seem kind of silly?
Yeah, I don't think doesn't seem to match what we're told is the seriousness of the occasion.
Now maybe the napkins, you'd like to have your names and the date, on one side, and then like Chico's bail bonds on the back side or something like that. Maybe the groom, just like on the back of his tux, could have something like that. I don't know. I'd have to think of some other creative things that maybe would not detract from the seriousness of the event, but could still get you a little bit of a break on the costs.
We know someone who did this.
We do? Mm-hmm. Who did this?
I'm going to mute real quick.
Okay. He did?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. Yeah. I'll go back.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of weird. I remember thinking, I don't know about that. And it was sort of before there were all influencers and stuff.
Was it something that like a...
Yeah, I don't want to detail too much about the person, but it was just, he did this kind of thing.
Yeah.
This reminds me of a commercial. That's what I was referencing a minute ago. It's it's like a financial services company or something. And the whole auditorium, it's like a high school graduation. And so they're calling the next person up to the stage to get her diploma. And the announcer calls the name Oasis Tan and Fitness. and the woman leans up and says to the couple, "What did they just call Harper?" And the dad says, "Kids are expensive."
Yeah.
So we sold the naming rights.
Yeah. So this is not a new idea.
Yeah. So it got me to thinking, remember when we were on the radio in Go Times and there was Huntington Beach sold exclusivity to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola had signage as exclusivity. I don't know if they were banning something else. It's a very small community or city or whatever it is in California, but they had sold naming rights.
Yeah.
So they had, the name was up everywhere and the city got some money.
Yeah.
And there was, I think, Dr. Pepper, Texas for a while.
Well, we talked, I remember talking about this a long time ago. We talked about all of the possibilities if a town was struggling, just sell the naming rights. You could have Kleenex, Ohio.
Yeah, Kleenex, Ohio. You could have Neosynephrine, South Dakota. Colace, West Virginia. Pepto-Bismol, Pennsylvania. Anyway, so the naming rights, they got a giggle out of that ad.
Yeah, the people who said that they would allow some sort of brand to help them pay for the wedding. There are different ideas for what they would allow them to do. Some said that they would be willing to have a brand sponsor, maybe a signature cocktail or something like that.
That'd be fine.
That would be helpful, and that doesn't really take away from the mood of the wedding. I don't think more than half of people said that they would let a brand hand out freebies and merch to their guests.
I don't think it's not. Yeah, it's supposed to be a wedding.
Yeah.
But if you had, let's say the reception was being catered by somebody and they said, if you let us put up our banner behind the buffet, we'll shave $4,000 off the price.
Have you ever
That's not a bad idea.
Have you ever been to a wedding? No, I think that's a pretty good idea. I've been to weddings recently that sort of went like way into the night. And, there had been a dinner, but then you danced for a long time. And there was a lot of, you were there for several hours after the dinner was finished. And then for a little takeaway gift, one wedding had a couple of Krispy Kreme donuts. You grabbed a little package of Krispy Kreme donuts, and there was a glazed and a chocolate glaze.
That's nice.
But, they were clearly Krispy Kreme donuts,
for sure,
but I'm quite certain Krispy Kreme didn't provide them just for having their brand there. I think some fast food places will do that too. Will sell, a couple of 100 cheeseburgers in a special little package for your guests to grab on the way out.
It's funny you say that. I think at a wedding where I was, after the dancing was going on, I think they were passing out like soft tacos.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like, that's kind of cool. Late in, because people have been, they need something to
work up an appetite
plus
again.
They need something to absorb some of the other refreshments.
Sometimes that could be true too. Yeah. No, I would not have. There's a lot that I would do. I would not let Ronald McDonald officiate, though.
I read a thing, and the details of it don't matter so much. But I'll give you a sort of a synopsis. After what happened to Charlie Kirk, 2 elementary school kids in public school,
little kids,
okay. Went to school wearing, one wore the Freedom shirt and one wore a TPUSA shirt.
Okay.
Now, the teacher sort of singled them out, according to the report, and said, sort of kind of grilled them a little bit, questioned them. Well, why are you wearing that? And what does that mean? Or why do you think that? Or why do you think this? And that was done in front of their friends. So it made them very, very uncomfortable. There was a dispute between the dad and the school district, and the school district had one story and they changed it and they wouldn't apologize and whatever. But it got me thinking, a lot of dads want their kids, their sons, to be great high school baseball players because maybe they were great high school baseball players.
Right.
And some dads want their kids to be great high school baseball players because they weren't.
So you mean go tell them what you think.
Go
buddy.
Fight. Go stand up for yourself.
And
stand
maybe
up for
you're not quite as comfortable to do it on your own.
Or I never did it when I had the chance to do it. And I'm gonna by goodness, I'm gonna have my kids stand up for their faith or whatever. And sometimes it almost feels like we've taken that sort of sports thing.
Yeah.
The sports parent. You could think of the stage mom or the little league dad.
Yeah.
And sort of moved it over here into the maybe political or social side.
Right.
And said, okay, get out there and do this stuff. I know I don't have to go to school with those kids. I don't have to, and I'm not, 7 or 9.
Yeah.
But I expect you to go out there and stand up. And it makes me just a little bit uncomfortable. That just seems like we talk a lot, and certainly conservatives talk a lot about why can't our kids just be kids? Why can't they just enjoy their childhood and their innocence and whatever? And it seems to me if we they shouldn't be little ambassadors to be deployed like foot soldiers.
Yeah.
From our homes out there to do our bidding out there in the world, right? They spend more time in school than they do with you.
Sure.
They spend more time in school with those people than they do with you, Mom. What I mean to say is that they have to live there.
Yeah. That's
their life, for a season. So if you're in 4th grade or 3rd grade, you got a long way to go with these same guys, same gals. So I don't know. It just makes me. There's no real point to this except to say, I think sometimes we all get sort of excited, and we should be excited to stand our ground and make sure that our rights are protected and all this. And I'm not saying that if if they told you couldn't pray to Jesus and had to pray to Allah, that you shouldn't stand up for your rights. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where. I don't like when parents live out their own frustrations through their children, whether they're frustrations about sports or frustrations about politics or frustrations about whatever.
Yeah. Or they might see it as a really positive reflection on them if their kid wants to do that. And then maybe not so much if their kid wants to back off after.
Same thing in sports, right? It's a reflection on the dad.
Yeah.
If the girl wins the pageant or the girl wins the whatever she's on stage for, the singing contest or the acting thing, that's my daughter. And so that whole thing where it's like we're living vicariously through our kids. I'd say let them be who they are. Now, I give it what suffer slings and arrows here, but I remember talking to, I'm not going to name which one, but at least one of my kids about this kind of thing. And they were expressing some frustration. I don't think it was about this, but let's just say it was about this. And this time they were in public schools, not the whole time they were in school. They were in public schools. And let's say the topic was, let's say evolution. And so we have a conversation about that, and initiated really by them. They're older, they're beyond 8th grade or whatever. And they say, man, I got this thing coming up. I got to do a report, and the report's got to be about this. And it was an assignment, and we blah, 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 blah. And I say, well, first of all, I said, you know what the truth is. And you should do the report however you want to do it. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. But also, as long as what you're being taught doesn't change your beliefs, I wouldn't worry about it. I was taught all kinds of stuff. I had somebody in front of the class telling me this, telling me that. I had people who tell me religious stuff. I was like, that's not true. Yeah. But I'm not, it's not that I would ever take a test and say, God is dead, true or false? True. I mean, never do that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the other kinds of things. If you're going to have kids in public school, and people of goodwill can disagree about that. And by the way, public schools are different today than they were before. They're different than when my kids were in public schools. They're different then than they were when I was in public school. But if you're going to be in that system, don't ever let it bend or break you. You're not going to be pressed into its mold, but your presence can be a transformative thing for others and can be an encouragement. However, you don't want to put that burden on kids. It's not for your kids to change the system, if it puts them at risk for anything. So anyway, I just thought it's the first time I'd ever seen anything that I thought, man, that makes me feel very much like, I won't name him, I still remember his name, when a dad came out of the baseball field, we were kids, and he did just rail against his own kid, and it was just out of control. And I thought, man, that's a problem. And I've remembered that to this day. We don't want to be that way with our faith. We don't want to be that way with our politics. We don't want to deploy, sort of live vicariously through our kids and sort of make them be these little foot soldiers or sort of deploy them for the things that are most important to us. Maybe what's most important to them is get through the day at school. Maybe that's it. Not get beat up at the flagpole after school. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I got 3 great kids, adults, obviously, all in their 30s. And they're all great. They're all fantastic. They spent about half their time in private school and about half their time in public school. And then went to public university, all 3 of them. I don't feel that they've been compromised by the things they've been taught. And I think they probably have been an encouragement to other people for standing firm where they needed to. But be careful with your kids, especially when they're young. I don't think it's up to us to send them out as elementary school kids. A kid in high school, that is their belief. They have their own agency. They've figured out the things that they believe, and they're exploring all that and wanting to stand for what they stand for. And certainly by the time they're in college, they're standing for the things that are important to them. When you were in 3rd grade, just doing what your dad told you to do.
You're on record about daylight saving time, aren't you?
Yeah. I don't mind standard time.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. I think like right now, the sun is setting well into the 6 o'clock hour now, before 7. Just think last week it slipped into the, boy, it sounds old. I know what time the sun sets.
No, I do too.
But I've only checked to see if the mailman has come 4 times today.
Daylight saving time will come to an end for this year at 2 a.m. on Sunday, November 2nd. That's a day earlier than last year. It's the second earliest possible date for the time change because daylight saving time falls on the first Saturday in November. So the earliest possible date would be November 1st.
All right.
Daylight saving time will begin again on Sunday, March 8th of next year. And you might remember this was a big deal during the last, I say a big deal. I remember it getting a lot of time and attention during the last election. And Donald Trump had shown support at the time for doing away with the time change. He said it was inconvenient. He said the Republican Party, this was back in December, so after he had been elected, but before he had been inaugurated. He said the Republican Party will use its best efforts to eliminate daylight saving time. He said it's inconvenient, it's very costly to our nation. But then later, he said it was kind of a toss-up and it's difficult to rally support for. He said this should be the easiest one of all, but it's a 50-50 issue. It's hard for anybody to get excited about it. He said some people would like to have more light later, but some people want to have more light earlier.
Right.
They don't want to take their kids to school in the dark. I do remember that. That was a beating to try to get little kids up and out before it's even light outside.
Well, but if you did that, then you have the light at the end of the day. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it was school nights. It didn't matter that much.
No, I understand.
I know you've got it at one time, or you've got, but there are some, some parts of the year when the day is so short, it's just dark. It's dark all the time. But he said, a lot of people want it one way, a lot of people like it the other way. It's very even. That's a quote. Actually, it's very even. It's very even. So if you were someone who was hoping that daylight saving time would go away, it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon.
Well, for those who want it to go away, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. Yeah. I mean, it's all good. I just remembered one other thing I wanted to say.
About daylight saving time?
No. You can't be cracked and unk at the same time, I don't think.
You can't what?
You can't be cracked and unk at the same time.
You can't be cracked and unk at the same time. I don't know what that means.
I'll tell you why. Because, I really believe...
you learned on the TikTok?
I'm speaking kids' language right now. Cracked and unk.
Okay.
Cracked means you're not really a very attractive person. And unk means sort of an older person. And I don't think you can be cracked and unk at the same time. First of all, if you're unk.
Wait, cracked is an older person?
No, unk like uncle.
Unk is an older person. Mm-hmm. Cracked is unattractive.
Yeah. But I would just say that, unk is definitive in some ways from the years that you've existed. And cracked is more of a social construct.
Really?
Yeah.
You've put some time into this.
And it's subjective. So I just say, I don't think you can be cracked and unk at the same time.
Okay.
Because I think if you are unk, you're not worried about cracked. That's all.
Very good. I'm just really glad there's nobody in my house who's saying 6'7".
What does the hand motion even mean?
I don't know.
There's some kind of hand motion.
I feel
it's so funny.
really, really old, but I have no idea.
Well, here's the deal. I saw a thing the other day. It was talking about 6'7", and it had baseball players. It had one number 6 and one number 7, and the background was a number 67.
Yeah,
and then somebody else, number 6 and number 7, and they were defenders or something, and they were doing their hands like this. But yeah, they were doing that because they were saying he bobbled the ball.
Yeah,
they weren't doing the 6'7". Whatever that is. I don't even know what it is.
I don't either. I don't know. If you can tell us, send us an email.
Yeah, what's the...
podcast at wildershow.com.
That's right.
Tell us what it means. And don't make fun of us, okay?
So what's a 411 on the 6'7"?
That's right. That sounds cool.
Send it to us and we'll read it IRT. The Wilder Show podcast can be found on Instagram. Very easy to find us. Just search Wilder Show Pod, and you'll like us, I hope, and follow and share and rate and comment and all that stuff. If you want to send us an email, if you want that article that I mentioned earlier, or anything else, tell us about give us 411 on the 6'7". Podcast at wildershow.com. Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central or before, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. So like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share. We're also on the TikTok. Find us there. Wilder Show on the TikTok. And Lauren, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
You should pull that thing where you said, what is it that you say? The 4-0 on the like.
Da-da.